And welcome everybody to the Yard Prep Dolphins versus Chargers game and this Sunday afternoon. And this show, by the way, is brought to you by Prize Picks. So if for those of you who have not figured it out by now, Prize Picks is a revolutionary new fantasy way of getting some cash in. So make sure you pick 2, 3, or 4 fantasy players and choose the over or under on their fantasy projection. So if you choose over and they go over, you win, and vice versa. So all you got to do then is go to prizepicks.com and use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match your deposit up to $100. Go in and start making some money today. So with all that said and done, we are joined by David, Manny, and Kylie, who is actually at the stadium. So I'll start with you, Kylie. How is everything there at the Hard Rock?
It's pretty awesome, dude. It's looking really good. They're giving me lots of nice little pamphlets with all the information you could possibly need. So check me out on Twitter, guys, because I'm going to be posting all those pamphlets with the stats.
Mm-hmm. So Kylie's got all the fancy schmancy the stadium stuff. I've had that. They would send me home with like handfuls of stuff before in the past. But that's just kind of how the whole game goes. So anyway, the Dolphins are going to face the Chargers today, the Los Angeles Chargers. I still can't get used to that. So kudos to Alan Pupar for apparently not typing San Diego Chargers at all this week. Good for him. I still can't get San Diego out of my head. They're always going to be the San Diego Chargers if you ask me. But this is
Stadium, baby.
So and this was the matchup that everybody was waiting for, right? This is what everybody was excited to finally see. Who is the better quarterback? Who should the Dolphins have drafted? Is it Justin Herbert or is it Tua Tagovailoa? And so I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Kylie, because I imagine that you have a limited amount of time right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start with you and let you talk. So what do you think this game has any type of influence on whether the Dolphins made the right or wrong choice, in your opinion? And do you think the Dolphins will have made the right choice when you think this game is over?
I don't think it has any influence. I mean, what's done is done. I will say that I think, if somehow the Chargers pull out a win, then obviously the Dolphins Twitter will go crazy and they'll assume that we made the wrong decision. But at the end of the day, you'll never know. I mean, some quarterbacks fit some systems super well and some don't. Tua might be great in Miami and terrible in Los Angeles. Same with Justin Herbert. You just never know. Just be cool with the opportunity that we've given Tua here. And I think he's honestly going to show us some really good stuff today. I'm really excited to see what he does against another young quarterback.
And so now we are also joined by Kai, who has suddenly popped into here. So I'm going to go ahead and let you talk now, Kai. Does this game have anything on the whole debate of whether the Dolphins chose right or wrong, Tua versus Herbert?
I think it's going to in the eyes of fans, but I think that at the end of the day, they should just appreciate how both quarterbacks are playing. Obviously, we saw what Tua can really do with an open offense last week against the Cardinals. And then I think a lot of Dolphins fans, before Tua really got his chance to start, were upset with what was happening with Herbert and how he was playing well with the Chargers. But at the same time, I don't think that it's the same. I think that's one of the things that Dolphins fans will care about more is Kalen Ballage. If Kalen Ballage runs on our defense, then they'll be more upset about anything. I don't think that this should really be a determination on who, if they picked right or wrong. I think at the end of the day, this will be a situation where I think Herbert will be successful with the Chargers. Tua is going to be successful with the Dolphins. And at the end of the day, I think Dolphins fans are going to be more happy with Tua than they would have been with Herbert. If they had picked Herbert that night in April, the Dolphins Twitter would have gone crazy, even if he was playing the way he's playing right now. So I think they should just appreciate what's going to happen. I think today should be a good game, though I think that the Chargers offense could possibly get stalled by the Dolphins defense, but I think the Dolphins should have an easy way against the Chargers defense. I just think that we shouldn't put too much on it if they lose or win, but I think they should win the game, the Dolphins at least.
David.
Listen, Herbert's been playing really, really well this year, right? We've seen that he's put up some big time numbers. Despite all the injuries that have affected the Chargers this year, right? And as Dolphin fans, we had to wait before we saw Tua get on the field. But ultimately, I don't think this game should, decide which one's the better, because it's really just one game, right? I mean, this is going to be Tua's third start. This is going to be Herbert's 7th or 8th start, I believe. So there might be, as Kylie and Kai mentioned, there might be some backlash on Dolphins Twitter, but it's way too early in this story to decide which one was the better pick. And it's absolutely going to be a fun game to watch.
All right, so in that case, now what we're going to talk about now is the actual game itself. So there's a lot of factors going into this. So obviously the Dolphins are down Christian Wilkins, which means that Raekwon Davis and Zach Sealer are going to have to step up big time today. Out of nowhere, they managed to get their hands on Kyle Van Noy. He's back off the COVID list before the game, so that's a good thing. We still don't have Lynn Bowden back. Matt Breed is still out. The Dolphins have made Chandler Cox and Gordon Howard both inactive, so now we're going to see DeAndre Washington in this game. So that means we have Washington, Savon Ahmed, and also who's the last running back? I can't even remember. Patrick Laird. That's right. Oh yeah, Patrick Laird. We want to see more Patrick Laird. And
Love the jersey, Michael.
Appreciate it. Just got it yesterday.
There you go. And Michael Wallace joins us now. And as for the Chargers, they lose Justin Jackson, Brian Bulaga, their tackle, and Try Turner. They're both going to play. Joey Bosa, that's the big one. So the massive pass rusher is out for this game. That's going to be a major help for the Dolphins' offensive line, which, let's be fair, it's much better than it was. We might even be able to say it's good, but it's not as good as we've been wanting it to be. So we have to be honest about that. So, Michelson, now I'm going to go ahead and ask you the question now that's going to be coming up. What exactly do you expect from this Dolphins team, and what do you expect out of this game with everything that we're going to be seeing?
I mean, there's going to be a lot more on Tua's plate today than there has been so far this season, right? Whether that's a matter of the score itself or that's a matter of the running back situation, which now we have some running backs who really haven't proven themselves with the Dolphins, at least so far this season. I think it's going to be more on his plate today with the offense, so I'm really interested to see how that goes. I think he can do well. You know, I mean, I have the jersey, right? Like, I think he is the answer for the future, but I do think this is going to come down to him versus Herbert a lot and seeing how well they do against these defenses. On the defensive side, it's a matter of if they're going to pressure or not. I know on the 3 yards per carry podcast they were mentioning maybe not pressuring, kind of sitting back, having him dissect what's going on with the zones. But my biggest thing is going to be what I said earlier, which is what is Tua going to do now with the running game that is even less stable than it was before, and it was never really stable to begin with. So.
And that's a fair point. So stability is a big deal with this team. Speaking of which, so right now we have a situation that we have to think about. Keep in mind, versus the Cardinals, both Byron Jones and Xavier Howard had questionable performances against that offense. And we've all been saying for the longest time now that right now the secondary is what makes or breaks this defense. When Jones and Howard are on point, everything works well for the defense. They can go all out with their cover zero. They can start sending out the blitz. If somebody starts getting beat on, then suddenly that whole situation changes. So, Kylie, what are you expecting out of this game? Do you think Howard and Jones can both have bounce backs and make everything work, or is this going to be one of those games where Brian Flores is going to have to give them some help?
Yeah, you know what? I think they're both true professionals. They're both veterans of the game. I think that they definitely have it within themselves to bounce back. After the last game, when we talked to Byron Jones on the press conference, he was embarrassed, and he said that. He said, I'm embarrassed, and I'm going to clean it up. And it wasn't like, I think I can clean it up. It was, I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to have a better game next week. So I definitely believe he's going to come back strong. I think that embarrassment, because it was quite embarrassing. I mean, he basically gave up 2 touchdowns last game. I think he's definitely going to bounce back from that. And Xavier Howard, honestly, I can't even think he had a terrible game. The pass interference calls were just absolutely ridiculous on him last game. So I don't think he's going to be bad again. I don't think he was bad before, and I don't think he'll be bad today.
Well, not that he's bad, but it wasn't his best performance. Let's be fair. Let's say that.
Sure.
So now the Chargers are going to have they're going to have Keenan Allen, they're going to have Jalen Guyton, KJ Hill Jr., Tyron Johnson, Joe Reed, and Mike Williams. So other than Keenan Allen, do you think there's anybody on that roster that actually scares you?
I mean, Mike Williams, right?
Yeah, Mike Williams is a good receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guyton's got some of that over the top speed too, that I think if we're running some cover zero, he can really take the top off the defense and burn a couple guys if we don't have our top people on him.
I mean, Michael, I know that you mentioned earlier about how on the 3 yards per carry pod this week, they mentioned, possibly like not bringing the pressure. But when Herbert faces pressure this year, his numbers do come down. When he's pressured, he completes 59% of his passes. The LA O-line has allowed 111 pressures. he's facing pressure on almost 30% of his dropbacks, and the Dolphins blitz at the fourth highest rate in the league. That was one of the things that we didn't see against Arizona as much, because they couldn't get to Kyler Murray, or when they got there, he escaped, extended plays, which made things a little bit more difficult for Byron Jones and for Xavier Howard on the back end. So today with a less mobile quarterback, now Herbert can move a little bit, but he's not going to take off and run like Murray. With a less mobile quarterback, if they can apply that pressure, that should help, in theory, Byron Jones and Xavier Howard get to the level which we have been a little bit more accustomed to.
Right. It's a matter of Herbert making some of the mistakes that a lot of people saw that senior year he had.
Yeah.
Where in the big games he kind of crumbled and made some bad decisions that he hasn't really made many of here in the NFL, which is a really weird transition to make, right? Like, everyone was super high on him through junior year. Then senior year, he had kind of a bad year and a couple things here or there. So people kind of backed off. And now he's doing better in the NFL than he did his last year in college, right? So it's kind of strange. But I just want to make it clear. I'm not actually on the 3 yards per carry podcast. They mentioned maybe not blitzing as a possibility. So it was Chris Kaufman that said it. Ask him for his exact words.
Yeah. No, I was just using it as kind of a platform to get into it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the thing that I'm wondering is that can the Dolphins make pressure unless they send that blitz? Because at the beginning of the season, when they were sending 4-man rushes, they sent Ogba, they sent Lawson, they put Wilkins and Godshaw, and they sent them on rushes, and they were barely able to get to the quarterback ever. It wasn't until they started doing that whole Byron Jones come back, cover zero, send the house type of blitzing that they were able to get some pressure. So if they don't do that, as well as Ogba has played, do you have faith that Ogba can win one-on-one against whoever he's going against?
I mean, I think so. He has 30. He leads the Dolphins with 34 quarterback pressures. He has 7 sacks, which is 4th most in the league. 13 QB hits, which is tied for 7th most. He's got 3 forced fumbles. He's been a force on that defensive line.
He's been a force, but it helps when the team is blitzing and he can get freed rushes.
Well, absolutely, but I think that's Brian Flores' approach. They continue to bring pressure. I mean, Flores and Boyer, right, the defensive coordinator, they continue to bring that extra pressure. And I mean, that's one of the first things that most NFL defenses do to a rookie quarterback, as it is blitz them to see how they handle it, right? So, if they're going to follow the script that they've been following previously, they're going to bring that pressure against Herbert and force him to make plays downfield. Now, he has the arm to make those plays, so they're going to have to get to him. But I do think that he has the ability to win one-on-one, and I think that he's helped this defense get to that next level.
And with an offensive line that's not healthy in the Chargers offensive line, right? On top of the fact that it probably already wasn't the best offensive line, now it's not healthy and doesn't have their main guys. I think you don't need to really make the crazy blitzes as much today. I do think it still does help. But it'll be interesting to see with the rookie quarterback how much they do go for it, because I'm sure the Chargers spent a lot of time analyzing all the different blitzes they could face from the Dolphins this week. So it's a matter of, do you want to show the blitz and then back off, try to make them make a mistake, have the wrong read? That's where I'd be really interested to see what they do.
So now let's go ahead and we'll get into picks in just a second. But first, I want to have some fantasy fun here. So then again, we're sponsored by PrizePicks.com. So let's go ahead and have some fun here. Over or under with Kalen Ballage? What do you expect from Kalen Ballage in this game?
Are we just going around? Well, I think
let's just not talk about Kalen Ballage. That's what I want. I want at the end of the day for Dolphins fans to not talk about Kalen Ballage.
They will. They will. If nothing else, the broadcast crew will bring him up because the former Dolphins.
They will.
Ballage.
It better not be a revenge game. That's all I have to say.
All I want after this game is for Dolphins fans to continue to look at that earlier game this season when he was on the Jets, where he tried to hurdle someone and got absolutely blasted. I just want to see that all over Twitter all day. I don't want to see, even if he gets like 50 yards against us, I'll be upset. Like I don't want to see Kalen Ballage do anything. What's the over or under though, Lewis? Is there like an actual line of what?
I honestly don't know what it is. I didn't, but it's still. I mean, it can't be that much, can it?
I just don't want to. If someone could find that over under, that would be like. I don't want to see Michael. I'll let you. I know I cut you off.
No.
I don't want to see Kalen Ballage rush for anything. I would be so upset watching that.
I feel like if we held Kalen Ballage to 50 and all the other running backs though of the Chargers didn't have good games, maybe 12 yards or something like that, yes, I would understand seeing Kalen Balazs succeed would be awkward because of how poorly it went here, but I would actually be pretty happy, right? Our run defense wasn't playing super well at the beginning of the season. So to hold them to maybe 60 yards rushing total for the game, that would be steps forward, right? Because last week we played the run pretty well, other than Kyler Murray, who's just a special talent. But we held Chase Edmonds pretty good, right? So if Kalen Balazs only had 50 yards and it was on a bunch of carries where he maybe had one long one that just kind of broke through, I'd actually be feeling pretty good about the defense making progress with the run stopping, which has been a bit bad this year, in my opinion.
Are you guys scared of Balaj or something? Like
No,
what the
no,
hell?
it's just
Like,
like he was okay.
I know,
He was
I know,
so
but
bad.
listen, guys, this game should be all about Tua, man. He's getting another third consecutive start. Once again, playing.
We always talk about Tua,
Let's see
man.
the progress.
Right, but it should. No, but Lewis, it should
Same,
because the
though.
Chargers defense is not good. On top of that, think about this. Like I think we talked about it like a couple of weeks ago when we were, I think David, we might have mentioned it together when we were going through the multiple
Why are
times.
you, I'm
Because
seeing
it is.
Smile on your
Here's the
face, man. Like,
It should be about Tua. Like the offense, like yes, we can go through, but I mean the Chargers defense is not good. They had an all-pro at both corner and returner, and they traded him. And the first play he made for the team that he traded him to was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Like the Chargers defense is not good. Now they don't have Joey Bosa. I mean, at the end of the day, we shouldn't want to hear anything about Kalen Balazs. We shouldn't want to hear anything about Herbert. We should want to hear that Tua stepped up against a defense that's not good and a team that right now is just not good. Like that's what it should be. The offense should be the reason that we win the game. Justin Herbert's going to get yards. It's going to happen. Like it's just who Justin Herbert is. But we should be talking about, wow, Tua looked great again. On to next week. Let's go. That's
all
it.
right. So let's talk about that then. So then, David, what do you expect from the offense today?
Well, listen, they have to handle LA's four-man rush. LA doesn't blitz all that often. They blitz 13.6% of the time, and they tend to have like a cover 3 look more often than not. But that should be good news for the Dolphins because Tua has been really, really good when he has time to kind of dissect the defense, right? So it's a matter of manufacturing something with the running game and then seeing which one of these other wide receivers can step up to fill the void that's left by Preston Williams, right? Antonio Callaway is active today, so we may get a look at him, although reports this week were saying that he might not be 100% physically from his knee injury, but they don't have Lynn Bowden today.
He went on Twitter tweeted that he was healthy at a fan, Lynn Bowden, because some fans said to hope to get healthy, and he said, "I am healthy." LOL at a fan today. So who knows what that's
right.
about?
They activate him off the COVID list, but then he's inactive for the game here today. So maybe maybe he didn't have enough time to practice or something.
Oh, Bowden.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I think he did.
I thought we were still talking about Callaway. Sorry.
No. I mean, Callaway, we'll see. I mean, we might be overhyping a guy that's not going to get very many snaps. Who knows?
I don't think in the long run we're overhyping him though. With what if he can get to what the physical talent that he had before all the suspensions and the injury, like if he can get back to that point, I think that he'll be like one of the steals that the Dolphins were able to just get. Because I think another thing is like you see it all the time. The NFL transaction wire, people get released all the time and people get picked up all the time. It just happens every single week. There's at least 2 or 3 per team. The fact that he was supposed to be suspended for the first 3 games, then got that extra 5 tacked on to it, and then also was coming off that, wasn't released at all, nothing happened like that, I think is a plus that, okay, maybe they think that it's going to get to that point. And then the fact that he's active today, I'm just, as a Gator fan, obviously I'm hoping he does well, but I've just liked Antonio Callaway his entire career. I wanted him to succeed with the Browns. So I hope he can be an impactful part of our offense, especially with Preston not being available.
That's the biggest thing right now with the Dolphins right now. The whole replacing Preston Williams thing. That's why I expect the Dolphins to actually use Callaway a lot and Jakeem Grant as well. Because again, the Dolphins have size. They have size in Parker. They have size in Gesicki. They don't really need a third big guy right now. Yeah. What they need is speed, and that's something that Callaway and Grant both have. And contrary to what some people think, Callaway is not necessarily a slot receiver. He can play in the slot if he wants to, but he's somebody who runs outside and takes off like a shot. So that's something that's really going to help the Dolphins, and that's something that I think if Callaway really does get on the field, I think Tua is going to really appreciate having Callaway and having him available in this game, because that speed is going to make a big difference for this offense.
Right. I think Mike Gesicki's going to play a big role today. I think they're going to move him out wide quite a bit. I mean, we might even see him in the slot occasionally. You know, he basically is a wide receiver. I mean, he officially a tight end, right? But they use him very much like a wide receiver. So I think he's
the Jimmy Graham treatment. Remember?
Yeah,
you remember that whole drama where Jimmy Graham was trying to get paid as a wide receiver? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He should have, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, he was
at the time, he should have been paid that way. Now,
For
obviously, you know, hindsight's 2020. You see what it is now, and you're like, okay, it's good that they, you know, held off on that. But at the time, I don't think that there was anyone that should have said that he shouldn't have been paid as a receiver. But looking back at it, of course, it's revisionist history. But he should have been paid as a wide receiver back then.
So now Gesicki can be the same way. Like, let's say that Gesicki does what Graham was supposed to do. Then I would be more than happy with how that turned out. And especially today, Gesicki needs to get back in the game. He's been kind of a non-factor these past few weeks, and it's not for any fault of his. It's just that he's not getting the football. It's not like he's just like missing all of his catches. There was that one pass where it was just inches away from his hands, but I don't really put that on Gesicki. That's just, oops, you missed kind of a thing. But I think that if Gesicki can actually get active in this game, I think the Dolphins have a really good shot at winning, even if the running game isn't necessarily on point. I'm not, as much as I say that I want to see more Patrick Laird, it's obvious they're going to start throwing up more Savannah Med out there. They're going to start throwing DeAndre Washington out there. Poor Patrick Laird is not going to get to catch a break. But either way, the running game is not going to suddenly light on fire because the Dolphins traded for DeAndre Washington. I really sincerely doubt that. But if they can just get something, that would be great.
I think Washington might get a couple more snaps than we expect just because I don't know if he was quoted on it specifically last week, but I think I saw something about Flores calling out Ahmed with his pass blocking, which is
it Ahmed or Ahmed? I thought I was under the impression it was pronounced Ahmed.
It's Savon Ahmed. Like according to they broke it down phonetically. It's Savon Ahmed. You don't pronounce the L and but they called out his pass blocking, which wasn't stellar. And that's something that DeAndre Washington does better and has more experience with. So especially with Tua back there, I'm really curious to see how that share goes. I tweeted it out on the Extra Yard 5 Reasons account to see what fans wanted. 70% were voting for Ahmed over Washington in terms of seeing more of his snaps. I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out. I want to see that running back breakdown because, I mean, Howard's a healthy scratch again, right?
Yeah, healthy scratch.
We don't know anything. That's
Jordan Howard is a healthy scratch. He's you know why? Because he's not good.
Oh, he's not. But I mean, with the situation you're in, having 3 guys who are pretty unproven with you, the most proven guy we have with us is Patrick Laird, and that was last season.
But what does that tell you about Howard then? You get me?
Right.
Like if they're really
have confidence in that situation, I want to see is if it's Washington or Ahmed.
Everybody kept telling me that Jordan Howard's good. You just need to give him 10 carries first. I'm like, I don't want to wait 10 carries for him to actually start.
Call Alf by name, Lewis. Come on. Call Alf by name. That was him last week.
I can't do that because you know what? I saw other people saying the exact same thing. And so there's this roaming thought process that Jordan Howard, he's a good running back when you do this. I don't want somebody I have to wait for him to be good. I want somebody first carry, he starts getting yards. That's what you're aiming for. I don't want to have to start the offense slow because the running back himself starts slow. Manny's raising his hand because he wants to talk. Hello, Manny. How are you?
Hello. So as you guys know, first, I'm an Eagles fan. So last year, Jordan Howard was the main kick in our offense for mostly half of the season. Despite the fact that Miles Sanders, a rookie, obviously towards the end, he picked it up. But Jordan Howard had one of the most productive consecutive running games from week 3 all the way to almost to week 8 and 9. And he was basically the whole Eagles offense. So to me, it's not about, well, you know, is he good or not? In that scheme with Philly, he was working. Obviously, you come down here, it's a different type of scenario, different type of running back. To me personally, I just feel like he gained weight and he really didn't care. That's the way that I see it.
Okay, so that doesn't make it better, Manny. That arguably makes it worse.
But I'm just saying he has the capability of being that, and for him to be healthy once again this week and not be on the roster, that shows me more. It's not about him not knowing the playbook; it's him not being able to, you know, mentally and physically get it together.
Well, and he was an efficient runner during his career, right? In Chicago, he always averaged.
We were excited. We figured, hey, this is a good move. No, it's not.
But to Lewis's credit, just like he mentioned, when he was told he needs about 10 carries to get going. In Chicago, he needed to do the same thing. He needed to keep in the football. By the fourth quarter, then he broke out the big run. But by then, your team could be down 10 points. Your team could be up 10 points. There's no there's no impact factor once that happens. So I get where Lewis is coming from.
Well, and the Le'Veon Bell stuff probably didn't help him either. I think that definitely sunk him deeper into whatever hole he was already feeling he was in, right? Because he didn't even lose his job to just Breida. It was to Gaskin too, who none of us guessed. So he was already like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. And then they go out and they're like, oh, we're going to pay Bell whatever the hell he wants. So then he's just sinking deeper and deeper. I'm a healthy scratch. And at this point, he's like, I don't care.
It'll be interesting to see where they go with short yardage situations today. Without Howard, without Chandler Cox. I mean, even without Christian Wilkins, who we've seen them use at fullback before. It'll be interesting to see, if they're in those short yardage situations where it should be a run, like how do they deal with that today?
Raekwon Davis, that dude is a monster. Let's just give him
just give him the ball.
Maybe they start doing maybe they try some Wildcat stuff today. I've been calling for this ever since they drafted him, and I'm going to keep pushing this even if it doesn't make any sense. I want Malcolm Perry to throw the football. Seriously, I want to see one try where Malcolm Perry's just under center, and is he going to throw, or is he going to pass, or is he going to run? I don't care. Just try to get creative in a way that it's not obvious. When you run the Wildcat, every single time the defense assumes 99.9% of the time it's going to be a run. Right. So just that 0.01% of the time, just throw the football. It's not like Perry is a complete waste of time as a quarterback. He did throw the ball plenty at Navy. Right. So just let him give it a shot. That's going to throw the whole defense off their heels. I guarantee it the first time they do it. Even if he misses this throw, they're still going to be like, whoa, hold on a second.
Yeah, he is active today. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think guys also listen. I think that today this Chargers secondary, no Derwin James, they just traded their best cornerback away. I mean, it's wide open. I think if the plays are there to make, we know Tua's arm, right? With a flick of a wrist, the man can throw it 50 yards without a doubt. The question is, can our wide receivers catch him?
Correct.
That's what it's.
Well, and are they going to be open? Because our separation off of cornerbacks is
Grant and Callaway. That's Grant and Callaway.
Yeah, that's why you have Grant and Callaway.
Well, no, I'm fine. They can do it. I understand. But what I'm saying is the deep throws we've had so far this season, there's always a cornerback right there. And it's in the 50-50 range. And sure, it's Parker, so we're excited about him. He can probably pull it down. But I haven't seen one single pass so far this season from the Dolphins past like 35 yards maybe, where the guy's beating his man by maybe 5 yards, right? The Chargers had a ton of them with Guyton, which I think they can get at least one of them today. But our guys are never that open. At least we don't see it because they don't get thrown to, right? So
and that's what we talked about after week 3. Remember, once we did the post game after that Jaguars game, we mentioned like, will they try to look for something in the trade deadline? How are they going to get this speed? When will Callaway? When will be available? When will Malcolm Perry get on the field? When will Lynn Bowden get on the field? We kept asking when are they going to get this speed? Because we don't need everyone kept saying go after Allen Robinson. It was like we already have that right now in 2, 3, 4 in person. We need to get someone that's going to take the top off the defense and not just be throw it up and get it guy. But at the same time, like we mentioned, Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't going to be the person to do the throw over the top. He was going to look for those big play receivers. And we mentioned multiple times, I think Lewis was one of the key people that kept harping on it, that he wasn't going to throw to Jakeem Grant. But once Tua got in, Jakeem Grant would start to get more looks. It'll probably be more part of the offense. And now hopefully we see that, and we have to see it today.
And now this is where the part of the show where we start to make our picks. So, Manny, since you're here and I don't want you to disappear before I ask the question, I'm going to go ahead and ask you first. So what is your pick? What is your expectation, and who's going to win and by how much?
I think the Dolphins win. Not saying it's quite handled easily. Once again, you do have a running quarterback. He hasn't run a lot, right? But I think that you kind of look at the Dolphins on film, and if your quarterback is mobile enough, you actually create a package in that week heading into the game. So as much as I know that the Chargers have Allen and Williams and whoever else can catch the football besides slow tight end, I can't seem to remember his name. There you go, Hunter Henry. No Antonio Gates, right? Not anymore for that.
Did he finally retire? Or is he still out there floating around?
I think he might be on the sidelines, but he'll have a mask on, so he won't be able to come in today. Listen, I think this is a game where Tua and the offense open it up a little bit. I don't want to talk about Balaj. Listen, that was the past. It is what it is. But I think Tua comes into this game, man, and solidifies even more what he is capable of doing. I see the Dolphins winning in a big one, 37-17. Tua with a couple of touchdown passes, and he has a major outbreak of a game throwing the ball down the field. And hopefully, I don't know who that is too. Maybe Callaway catches 1 or 2 bombs. That would be even great.
Michael.
I agree on the Dolphins winning. I think that margin is a bit more to my fandom side, like just super leaning towards cocky Dolphins fan coming out.
Yeah, the only reason why I picked the Chargers to go so little is because I haven't seen a defense as versatile as this, and the way that they can pre-match teams. And you pointed it out on the Twitter feed on Monday. Herbert just gets absolutely flustered once he sees pressure left, pressure right, and all of a sudden, he's changing the play, but obviously he's still new as a quarterback. And the Dolphins, Brian Flores, I think, have seen that throughout his tenure already, and for sure today it'll be something different that he's never seen before in person, obviously.
For sure. I think I do agree. I think Tua has a good day. I think he throws his first interception today as well. I think he gets a little excited, tries to make a lot of stuff happen. So I'll give him a 3 touchdown, 1 interception day, maybe around 300 yards. But I've got Dolphins winning this one 28-20.
Did that other pick not count in Arizona?
No, it didn't.
No, it was out of bounds.
Okay, I brought that. I don't remember if they brought that back or not.
I mean, their cornerbacks haven't been playing well, but they're good enough names and they're veteran enough that I think they have some savvy moments left in them. I think they can make something happen. I think it might be Chris Harris that does it just because the dude is smart. But yeah, I'll give the Dolphins this one 28-20 over the Chargers.
David.
So I'm kind of in line with you guys. I'm afraid though, because over the last couple of weeks, everybody's picked against the Dolphins, and then the Dolphins have upset upset everybody, right? And the flip side is kind of happening today. Everybody's kind of going with the Dolphins, so I'm a little bit wary of that. But I just think that the deficiencies on the Chargers defense, I mean, missing guys like Bosa and James. Actually, I think Chris Harris might be out. I think he might be on the IR.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, so I think this secondary is going to be ripe for the picking for Tua, and if they can manufacture, I don't know, 100 yards on the ground between like the 4 guys, Tua included, right? Because Tua can run for 25, 30 yards or whatever. If they can manufacture in the neighborhood of 100 yards, they could put up points on this defense. I think they can win 31-21.
Kai.
I wrote earlier this week 31-20. I said Tua was going to get 3 touchdowns, 279. I still will say in that in that range. I think Justin Herbert's going to throw a couple touchdowns. I think he's going to throw a couple picks. And I just think that at the end of the day, this is a game where the Dolphins should win. And I think it would shock a lot of us if it was close. And even if it's close, the Chargers are going to throw it away anyways. So it's just the Dolphins.
That is not a fact.
They've blown. I had it written down specifically. I can't remember what exactly.
They've blown the second half lead in all of them.
I think it's 4 games that they've blown with 16 plus leads. 4 games away that they've thrown away this game where they've led by 16 points or more. So even if they lead, even if they don't, the Chargers aren't a good team. And then they're also dealing with injuries, but they're just not a good team.
So whether it's San Diego or LA, they're still the Chargers.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna go ahead and end this show here. I'm gonna make my pick. Honestly, I think that Tua's gonna have a terrific game as long as they can keep him protected. Just give him a few seconds to look around, and everything will be fine. I think Jakeem Grant's gonna get even more involved in this game. I think Callaway. I don't think he's gonna be as involved as we think he is, because I think that they're gonna go to Grant first because he's more familiar with everything going on. I think.
Remember that Callaway's been able to be in the meetings.
Yeah, he's been in the meeting.
Been able to be in the meeting.
He's been in the meeting, but Grant.
Right. Yeah. No, I get what you mean.
More on-field experience with the team right now, and I think Jakeem Grant will actually score an offensive touchdown today. That's what I'm going to predict here, and I think the Dolphins are going to win this bugger from somewhere along the lines of 33-20. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and call this Yard Prep show here. I'm sure that Kai will be back for post game. I am sure that Michael will be back for post game. David, are you going to be here for post game? I'll
be here.
Alrighty. So Manny, I know you'll be in the background. I don't know if you'll actually be there or not. Yes, throwback uniforms today. So maybe we'll be able to ride on that good karma there. So thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you right after.